Hey everybody, the quarterly macros can be short because we know what we're looking for. So let's get started first. SPY closer to 2 up, Qs closer to 2 up, Dow Jones closer to 2 up, and then IBM closer to 2 up, but a little bit more exhaustion risk than the rest. So that being said, we will let them open. Obviously, the quarter's new quarter then can flip and change continuity. So the continuity is what matters. The scenario closer 2 up or 2 down is kind of how we have a bias or preference. When we look at all of the market, most things are doing that. What we'll see is first when we go to the currencies, silver inside quarter hammer to confirm the year. We talked about that yearly signal in the macro updates as the year had gone on. The inside year up silver has been a lot higher. We also know gold, the 1312, boom, explosion on the year, up 28% this year. So great investment so far. And notice how you time the signal: 3 years of nothing, and then boom, strat gives you in there. So good stuff there. When we go to the Dixie, which is the dollar, so close to inside year down. We talked about this at the beginning of the year. All the currencies went inside year. So what are the currencies planning is our question. And what we saw is last quarter, we had the 122 quarter in Dixie. I don't know if it was in the macro, but we picked up on that in stat, talked about that. And they took the magnitude of that. Now they're much closer to taking the year down. So dollar can be very fragile below 99578 on the Dixie. And your broad information looks like this. So it's been a lot lower down in here. And, you can take all these guys out too. You can see I have that white line there. So just be very careful of dollar weakness as we get into the end of this year. And that could really spell anything. Like when COVID happened, there was some crazy stuff with the dollar in 2020. You can see some volatility, but they just printed their way out of it, right? That's where you can see this went down, and then reserve currency still. Then we just continued printing. So we'll see if that printing starts to catch up with us. But that tells you silver, right? That's the opposite of that. Gold, see if that continues. It's the opposite of that. And also Bitcoin. Bitcoin on the quarter is the hammer RevStrat quarter with the inside year in force. As talked about in the macro video, we pointed out those all-time highs as a good target. You can see the last one, boom, inside year up, bull rally, right? And then the profit taking, change in continuity, boom, stops everyone out. Change in continuity again, bull market rally, inside up, rally, right? All-time highs. Now, you can see all-time highs. We hit that and then we're done. Why? We've stopped everyone out. Now, if you're shorting the Bitcoin, your stops are above this stuff. So if you can start breaking back through these guys, could keep going with the RevStrat quarter Bitcoin. Tells you ARC B, RevStrat quarter ARC B, and BitO. Maybe it's a little weaker in there. And forgive me, there is some Bitcoin specific ETFs in here that I'm just not super familiar with. 2 down in green. Yeah, so BitB, there we go. The BitB, Hammer RevStrat quarter, IBIT, the Hammer RevStrat quarter, right? And any of your other, pick your favorite, whichever one tracks Bitcoin the best. I think ARCB is pretty good at tracking it, but it lacks options as far as I understand. That being said, though, we'll keep an eye on those currencies for sure. That's something we want to know about, because if those start blowing up, then every market across the world starts blowing up. And we talked about that at the beginning of the year. We just haven't seen any twos on the currencies, so we'll keep an eye on that. That being said, this is kind of the list as we get into the end of the year here with quarterly signals. You'll see WAT 322 quarter could get the RevStrat year going with the magnitude to all-time highs. Win the 322 on the quarter here above this be 9817 with potential simultaneous break MAR, potential simultaneous break LVS on the quarter in the bank or in the casinos slash what do you call them, hotels, right? Gotta remember that. If we go to the 3-1s, we're gonna have Hershey's 3-1 shooter quarter, which could take the 3-2 expansion year to the downside. And I think it's the year of judgment. We're going to see a lot of these stocks start coming in eventually. Hershey's obviously already started off last year coming in and has not strengthened up. So that'd be a continuation of this big sell we saw, causing 3-2 year back through all these guys. We'd like to know about that. If you go to OLN, 322 hammer quarter, this will be in your materials. We go to XLB, it's closer to 3-2 up quarter. And you'll also have things like tech in there. The hammer counter shooter on the quarter in the materials sector, and then I believe Alcoa also has the slight hammer quarter. Still an inside year though, so not doing too much. Maybe things like Steel X Also a slight hammer quarter, but with all the negotiations, they've been a little weaker. So a little bit of stuff in the materials there. And then for the rev strats, Disney, closer to a rev strat back up, slight hammer, DKNG, closer to rev strat up with the betting season, sports season coming around inside 1-2 quarter on the month. They already rev stratted last month, so you just got to reconfirm that. Still closer to 2 down week to start. So we'll see. Let it set up. If we go to Uber, also the slight rev strat quarter. On the weekly broadening information, this thing's pretty big. So if it were to fail that quarter or not trigger it at all, still could come back through all this stuff if Uber's going to have any issues. And then the biggest thing we can see is China. We picked up on it on the strat attack last week, so I hope you guys traded that. Some very fun trades in there, such as Futu, the gap down buy, boom, explosion to 100, and the gap down buy occurred at 72. It's a 42% mover, right? Baba, the gap down buy, also a pretty nice mover, 20%er. They obviously came in this week, took some profit. And one thing we talked about last week was how long do you have for your trades? So when you take a strat attack name, you get all week and also all month. The month just ended out today, and the week ended out last week, Friday. So they take their profit here going into the end of the month, end of the quarter. Still nowhere near reversing that, right? So when we go to Baba, closer to continuing, nice long green bars for the rev strat year. Good PDD, closer to the hammer counter shooter quarter, which would negate the year back to green. If we go to Futu, closer to a 3-2, and it's been a lot higher in Futu. It's part of financials as well. When we go to Neo, these are the ones where I think they might be coming back in. So Neo, you might get the gap up sell outside weaker this week in Neo. And you can see some relative weakness compared to the rest of the Chiners. So maybe those equal lows are going to be coming for them. 2-2 on a Tuesday. Below that in Neo, 6-6-7. It would occur with full time frame continuity, including the quarter. And then XPEV, same story here. That'd be the, I believe, 2-2 day if those are equal lows. And potentially, you know, it's been a lot lower, so we'll see if they start coming back through that or not. And these are kind of the shitters. I don't see them coming or keeping it going. But that is about it for the quarter. We obviously like things that are going to confirm across multiple time frames, like Hershey's with the quarter, and then I believe we missed out the shooter month in Hershey's as well. The month to trigger the quarter to trigger the year. It's the stuff we like, and we'll also see OLN with the month 3-2 to potentially trigger the 3-2-2 there. So we like that type of stuff, and also the simultaneous breaks with the hotels and casinos. And outside of that, we'll see some bigger names. If we didn't cover them, AVGO inside quarter with NVIDIA in the chips, and all the chips have this slight momentum hammer. So we'll see what comes of that. We did have the losers like MU at the outside month last month. So we'll see if those outside bars resolve up or down. There are also going to be things like, Marvel with the outside quarter. So you got some broad informations in there to play around with once we can get out of there. So we're still going to keep an eye on the tech. It's kind of where the volatility is. But that plus the list in here, that's going to be about it for your macro vid. And given the news, we're going to let them open as the quarters open and see what we get. So adios. Have a good rest of your night. I'll see you guys bright and early in stats. And I'll see you guys as we put out the weekend and nightly videos confirming or negating our quarterly list as the quarter plays on. So adios.